Warning, this video does contain spoilers.
Termination in 3, 2, 1.
After this great start to the campaign, I knew that it would be a blast. After blowing up Gorbani and being placed in Al Mazrah, our new warzone map, we were tasked with finding Hassan to see what he was doing out here and not in Iran. Maybe he was lost, but Bossman Shepard said he thought he was being a bit devious. So I really enjoyed this mission, despite dying copious times on the veteran difficulty, that is regular. The night vision was very cool, and many scenes in the buildings gave me goosebumps, so I did feel pretty immersed. I thought this first mission, which was called Strike, I believe, I thought this one was pretty good, so it was a good start to the campaign. Now, when Ghost and Soap discover a weapons cache at the end of this first mission, we learn that there are a few missiles which have gone awry, which is not so good. So Bossman Laswell sends them off to Amsterdam, where Iran does their deals, but also we see Mr. Price and we see Gaz. They're all just there doing their business as well. Very nice, we get to see the return of them. Now, after doing a bit of swimming, you know, getting on the cardio, Gaz has wiped out all of these men on the docks, and you go onto a barge with Price. Now, I really enjoyed this mission as well, although if you forget to kill one of the AQ guards on these docks, it can be a bit long to complete. Onto Tradecraft. This is the second mission in Amsterdam and the last one in Amsterdam, which caused me quite an annoyance due to my incompetency mainly. Now, here you're basically trying to stop an important deal in a cafe in Amsterdam, and here Soap and Ghost meet with Price and Gaz, the great reunion. Now, here I decided to take the prompt to take down the guards every single time before realizing you're meant to stay stealthy. Once you've worked together with Price, Laswell, and your other friends with the use of these kind of syringes to take down the dealers, you're then escorted away from Amsterdam and back to your new location, the US-Mexico border. Now, this mission, again, was a pretty goosebump-inducing one, which I found very immersive once again, where I really felt the tension as you went through building to building, chasing after Hassan, who was running away, and he did get away in the end. Now, you then go straight into Las Almas, which is in Mexico, and you're fighting the cartel, as well as the Mexican army, who is supposedly kind of teamed up with the cartel. Now, your ally was the Mexican Special Forces, and the enemy was the Mexican army, which I found an issue, as it becomes sort of a mind game to remember which one is good and which one is bad, and this does turn out to be very important later on. Now, this mission was pretty enjoyable, although the fights on the mountains were very long for me, generally just because, again, I'm incompetent, but the ending scene was worth it, as the Shadow Company with Mr. Phil Graves come and save the day. Now, for these next two missions, you get to be in the POV of Shadow Company, flying the overhead air support, which was really fun, and it was one of my most memorable parts, because it really added more depth to the story, as you're not just running on the ground, you got kind of different perspectives. Now, my main issue was firing large amounts of the missiles was so fun, it was difficult to control yourself from just shooting random buildings, which you weren't allowed to do, funnily enough. Now, after all this, it gets serious again, the immersion spikes up, you capture Hassan, and he gets pretty grumpy, understandably, because you killed his mate right at the start, and then you have to let go. You have to get rid of him because apparently he's not bad enough to arrest him. So then you get sent to Spain as the missiles get found on a ship which are going there. This was probably the first mission that I found a bit too long. These enemy cars roll up to you. If you sit still, it's fine. So if you pass both the first time, it's all good. You get to move in and it's all good. Being the nutcase I am, I failed. And I failed again, and I failed again, and I spent a good 30 minutes just lying in grass, waiting for these fucking cars to drive away, which did annoy me, I won't lie. However, after this, the pace does pick up again, as you're going to clear out all these containers and all these different warehouses with Price in your ear as you try to find the missiles, but shit hits the fan as Laswell's captured by the enemy, Alcatala, leading you to have to get her back. Now, in this mission, we meet with some old operators, such as Farah, which you might remember from Warzone 1, but not only this, but you get some new methods of transport. Once again, adding some more variety to the playstyles of the game, which kind of makes it a lot more enjoyable. So for this, you're in a helicopter, as well as hijacking and driving cars in order to save Laswell, who's at the front of this kind of armored convoy. After going through about 100 different trucks, you finally get to the end, where you have a shootout with loads of these armored soldiers, which are a pain in the ass to kill. However, you finally rescued Laswell. Now, next up is another goosebump-inducing mission in which you have to sneak past a ton of masked guards in order to get to Eelsonombre. Now, remember what I said about the memory game earlier? This is when it becomes very important. Once you get a keycard from scaling the building and retrieving it from a room, you'll be able to go and meet Eelsonombre's personal Sicaria, which translates to the personal hitman. And this happens to be the one and only Valeria. Now, you have a very tense interrogation with Valeria, which one wrong lie will end you up dead. The lift ride down to the basement, which utilizes this keycard, is very important because they basically instruct you to not lie, and you basically need to know the basics of the mission, which if you don't listen to this, you will almost certainly die. And as someone who died 3 times, not once, not twice, but 3 times, I can confidently tell you, you cannot lie or you will die. But it was a pretty fun mission overall. Now it turns out the skinhead at the bottom of the lift was lying. Valeria is in fact Eelsonombre, and you're back upstairs to catch her. This gave me goosebumps once again as you're kind of sneaking around the 2nd floor, and you traverse around the upstairs with literally nothing except what, a wine bottle to distract the guards. This is the first proper interaction with objects, which soon became pretty prominent with crafting stuff, and once she's captured, the shadow team come in, they scoop her up, and then you head away. Now after this, you're onto an oil rig in the middle of the sea, faced with a very fast-paced mission that is called Dark Water, and this has you doing an obstacle course while trying to stop a missile at the same time. I really enjoyed this, and you do end up stopping the missile, blowing up the oil rig. It's really cool. However, you realize there's another. What a shame. I did really enjoy this mission as, yeah, there's a variety of gameplay. You're not just kind of running, it's all going up and down. There's this, there's a bit of that. Now onto what I think is probably the most difficult part of the whole campaign, in my opinion, alone. Here you're fully alone as Soap, having to traverse the streets of Mexico with no weapon at all, and in the dark, with very general, like, objectives and not very specific at all. Now the reason this took me so long was purely down to patience probably, but also due to the fact it required pretty careful thinking. I was getting Minecraft vibes because you literally had to craft so much stuff, like smoke grenades, all these little things. This did just add depth to the mission. Now once you thought you'd escaped, you hadn't, as you had to craft some more magic juice up underwater in order to get out of some tunnels leading to the church where you get back to Ghost, and Ghost and Soap along with a few Mexican special forces are tasked with getting Alejandro out, who's trapped inside the facility that Graves has now taken over. You have to navigate some CCTV to get Ghost inside in order to rescue Alejandro, which proves to be pretty difficult. However, it is a very nice change of scenery. Now after you get a cheeky cutscene where you realise that it was all Shepard's fault for the missiles gone missing, and it was the Shadow team who had to take the hit of losing some of their team, then you were tasked with going through the Shadow team's tunnels to get to the military base in order to kill Graves, who's inside a tank, which was a pretty fun experience. And once you're there, you have a very long battle where you're basically running around this shooting range hopelessly looking for C4, which I found pretty fun. It was a little tedious to be fair, but the ending was really cool. There was a massive explosion in the tank. It was really dramatic, but we never see Graves' body, so he might still be alive. After this, you say goodbye to Los Vaqueros, including Alejandro, and you go to Chicago to stop the final missile, as instructed by Eelsonombre, Valeria. This was a pretty sad and pretty emotional goodbye, as I really liked Alejandro and Rodolfo, the two kind of main characters of Los Vaqueros. They were some of those characters who I really liked. This was the final mission. The countdown is on to stop the missile and save the world. You end up traversing the side of a skyscraper in order to save some hostages and kill some of these kind of baddies. And at the same time, we're trying to get to Hassan to both end the missile and end him at the same time. Now, after some difficulty killing some more armored soldiers, I know they come again and again and again, and finally doing some more Minecraft crafting to make some stuff to kill people with, you finally get to Hassan. Now at this point, he gets you down, he blows up the window and he's about to chuck you out. However, Ghost comes and he quickscopes in the head, with your help obviously doing the quickscoping, and it's a pretty badass ending and everything is fine. This leads to the emotional end to the story where all is well. You see the final scene in a bar where there's a picture passed around by Laswell talking about the new Russian enemy, talking about the next disturbance, accompanied by the rest of Task Force 101 in the bar, and it turns out that this is Makarov. It's a very dramatic ending, and it kind of gives everyone goosebumps who knows who Makarov is, so we will be seeing his return potentially in the 2nd year of Modern Warfare 2. Now, if you were patient enough, there were in fact 2 post-credit scenes, one in the middle, this one here, I'll talk about it, and basically there's a guy on a cell phone, they have a 3D printed gun, which there's a nice detail, and then they have a cell phone which says no Russian, very dramatic, and then if you wait till the end of the credits, which is like another 25 minutes of credits, you then get to see this nice little postcard which says thank you for playing from Task Force 141. It's a very nice ending. Overall, this was a great campaign. I'm honestly really gassed to be making this video because I really enjoyed it, and I'm really happy to be sharing my opinions, even if there were a few frustrating moments throughout this whole 8-hour ordeal. Now make sure that you are subscribed, as there are many more videos coming about how to get all the achievements in this campaign and the multiplayer that's going to be coming in about 4 days time. And that's all from me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.